April 1, 2024. Los Angeles, California. It was Easter Sunday, a day when most people were busy enjoying time with their families, attending church services, or hunting for colorful eggs with the kids. The streets were quieter than usual, a peaceful, almost sleepy atmosphere covered the city like a soft blanket. But while Los Angeles celebrated, a handful of unknown individuals were about to pull off something that would shake the city and the nation to its core. At a secure cash storage facility operated by GardaWorld, a company specializing in cash logistics and armored transportation, the workday was supposed to be just another routine shift. The building, tucked away in the heart of the San Fernando Valley, was heavily fortified. Cameras were everywhere. Motion sensors were active. Thick steel vaults held millions in cold, hard cash. Nobody thought twice about security. After all, this was GardaWorld, one of the most trusted names in the business. However, as the sun began to dip below the horizon, something unthinkable happened. Sometime between the late afternoon and evening hours, thieves managed to break into the facility. And they didn't just make off with a few stacks of bills. No, this crew went big. By the time the break-in was discovered, they had stolen approximately $20 million, making it one of the largest cash heists in U.S. history. The alarm system? It didn't even trip. The vault door? No signs of forced entry. It was almost as if the thieves had walked right in and walked right out unnoticed. By Monday morning, the FBI, along with the Los Angeles Police Department, had launched a full-scale investigation. Agents and officers swarmed the scene, combing through every inch of the facility, trying to figure out how such a massive amount of money could simply vanish without setting off a single red flag. It was clear, whoever had done this knew exactly what they were doing, and they had left behind almost no clues. This was not a crime of passion. It was a masterpiece of planning. And it was only just the beginning. When the news first broke, people couldn't believe it. $20 million? Gone. Just like that. Reporters crowded outside the GardaWorld facility, their cameras flashing as they scrambled to get any information they could. Meanwhile, investigators were inside, piecing together the few scraps of evidence the thieves had left behind. The first thing authorities noticed was how clean the job was. There were no signs of a break-in. No broken locks. No smashed windows. No tampered alarms. The building's security footage, which should have caught everything, had somehow been disabled, or worse, wiped clean. Whoever had pulled off this heist had either insider knowledge or insider help. That much was clear right from the beginning. Theories started flying immediately. Some speculated that it had to be an inside job, maybe an employee who knew the layout of the building, the rotation of the guards, and exactly when the security systems would be at their weakest. Others whispered about an outside crew, professional thieves who had somehow managed to hack the security systems and plan their move with surgical precision. But one thing was certain. This wasn't the work of some amateurs looking for a quick payday. This was professional. Calculated. Cold. According to early reports from GardaWorld officials, the missing money was mostly in small, non-sequential bills, the kind that's easy to launder and hard to trace. This detail sent chills down the spines of investigators because it meant that the thieves could blend that cash back into the economy without raising many red flags. And as for eyewitnesses? There were none. Not a single neighbor had seen or heard anything unusual. No suspicious vehicles. No unfamiliar faces hanging around. It was as if the money had simply vanished into thin air. But the FBI knew better. There's no such thing as a perfect crime, not really. Somewhere, somehow, the thieves would slip up. And when they did, the agents would be ready. Or so they hoped. In the days following the heist, the FBI and LAPD launched what could only be described as a full-court press. Dozens of agents were assigned to the case, working around the clock. They interviewed every GardaWorld employee, cross-checked time cards, and pulled phone records, hoping to spot anything at all, that looked even slightly suspicious. Meanwhile, forensic teams combed the building for evidence. Fingerprints, footprints, hair fibers, even dust patterns. Nothing was too small to investigate. But it didn't take long for investigators to realize they were dealing with a criminal team that had planned every detail months in advance. For starters, the surveillance cameras inside the cash vault, the most critical ones, had mysteriously gone offline just hours before the theft. At first, GardaWorld thought it was just a technical glitch, but experts quickly determined that the shutdown was intentional. Someone had bypassed the system. Someone who knew exactly what they were doing. To make things even stranger, the entry logs for the building didn't show any signs of forced access. Whoever entered the facility either had a legitimate keycard, or they found a way to mimic one without triggering any alarms. Investigators began to focus heavily on employees who had access to the vault, both past and present. Were there disgruntled workers? Former employees with a grudge? Maybe someone who knew the Easter weekend schedule would be running light, with minimal security presence? One by one, they dug into people's backgrounds. Financial troubles. Gambling debts. Sudden disappearances or unusual behavior. But nothing concrete surfaced. At least, not yet. And then came another twist. Sources inside the investigation revealed that just days before the heist, there had been an unusual delivery made to the building. A shipment of what was described as equipment for a routine system upgrade. Now, authorities weren't so sure it was routine, after all. Had the thieves used this delivery as cover to plant tools or devices that would help them break into the vault later? It was a chilling thought. Because if true, it meant this operation had been hiding in plain sight for days, right under GardaWorld's nose. As the investigation deepened, several competing theories started to take shape inside the FBI's war room. One theory suggested that the thieves were professional criminals brought in from out of state, maybe even from another country, hired specifically for this one big score. The way they moved, the precision of the heist, it all pointed to experienced operators, not local amateurs. Another theory leaned heavily toward an inside job. Some investigators believed that a small handful of employees had orchestrated the entire thing, timing it perfectly to Easter Sunday, when everyone would be distracted with family and festivities. There was even talk that maybe someone inside GardaWorld had been quietly building trust for months, working patiently, day after day, just to make the heist possible. But with so little evidence, every theory felt like chasing shadows. Meanwhile, the public couldn't get enough of the story. News outlets dubbed it the Easter heist, and every few hours, new rumors surfaced online. Some said the thieves had used a high-tech tunneling machine to reach the vault from underground. Others claimed it was an inside-outside collaboration, with a mole helping a gang of cybercriminals. Every day, the theories grew crazier. Some even joked that the Easter Bunny himself must have pulled it off. But behind the scenes, investigators weren't laughing. They knew time was working against them. The longer the thieves stayed hidden, the colder the trail would get. And if the money was already moving, being laundered, broken up, hidden across the country or even overseas, recovering it would be nearly impossible. The FBI turned to financial institutions, sending out bulletins to banks and credit unions across the U.S., warning them to look out for suspicious deposits. Large amounts of small bills. Unusual cash movements. Customers suddenly paying off huge debts. But catching a money trail this size? It would be like looking for a needle in a haystack, after a hurricane had already blown the haystack away. Weeks passed, and frustration began to set in. Despite dozens of interviews, hundreds of hours of surveillance footage reviewed, and countless tips pouring in from the public, the investigation was no closer to finding the culprits than it had been on day one. It was like chasing ghosts. GardaWorld, now under intense media scrutiny, offered a hefty reward for any information leading to an arrest. Billboards popped up across Los Angeles. TV commercials ran on every major network. Help us find the criminals who stole $20 million. But if the thieves saw those ads, they weren't worried. They had covered their tracks too well. One anonymous tip did catch the FBI's attention though. Someone claimed to have seen a suspicious van parked near the facility the night before Easter. The vehicle was described as an old, beat-up utility van, the kind you wouldn't look at twice. Security footage from nearby businesses was pulled. Dozens of hours of grainy video were reviewed. Finally, investigators caught a glimpse of it. A white van with no visible plates, cruising slowly down a side street not far from the vault. The problem? The footage was too blurry to make out anything useful. No plate number. No clear view of the driver. No way to track it. Another dead end. Meanwhile, federal agents started expanding their search, looking at other recent heists across the country, wondering if the Easter job was part of a larger pattern. Maybe these criminals had pulled similar jobs before. Maybe they'd strike again. The working theory was simple. A crew this organized wasn't going to sit on $20 million forever. Sooner or later, they'd have to move the money. And when they did, the agents vowed to be ready. But in truth, they knew catching the thieves would take more than luck. It would take a mistake, a slip-up, something the criminals never planned for. And so far, they hadn't made one. Not yet. As the investigation dragged into months, public interest slowly started to fade. New headlines took over: political scandals, celebrity gossip, natural disasters. The Easter heist became just another unsolved mystery tucked away in the back of people's minds. But not for the investigators. Not for the victims. The FBI and LAPD kept the case open, running down every new lead, no matter how far-fetched it sounded. From anonymous tips in South America to sightings of suspicious cash transactions in Europe, they chased every thread. And every thread eventually led nowhere. The stolen $20 million seemed to have simply evaporated. There were whispers, of course. Stories of the money being broken down into small shipments and smuggled out of the country. Rumors that the thieves had set up new lives overseas, living quietly, spending carefully, never drawing too much attention. Some said they were hiding in plain sight, right here in America, blending into suburban neighborhoods, living modestly, biding their time. But nobody really knew. In the end, the Easter heist of 2024 became one of the most legendary unsolved crimes in U.S. history. A crime so smooth, so surgical, it almost felt unreal. Whoever pulled it off had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only questions, theories, and a hole in GardaWorld's vault where $20 million used to be. And maybe that's what made it so haunting. Because deep down, we all know, when people get away with something this big, they usually don't stop at just once. The real question isn't whether they'll strike again. It's when and where.